The world watched in disbelief as news of the German invasion spread like wildfire. Across the plains of Poland, a new kind of war unfolded, one that would change the face of combat forever. It was swift, brutal, and decisive, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. German forces, a whirlwind of tanks and aircraft, tore through enemy lines with relentless precision. This was Blitzkrieg, the Lightning War, a storm that would reshape the landscape of World War II, leaving no corner of Europe untouched. The traditional stalemate of trench warfare was gone, replaced by a new era of rapid mechanized conflict. In its place was a terrifying display of mobility and concentrated force, a deadly dance of steel and fire. The German Wehrmacht, a well-oiled machine of tanks, infantry, and air power, moved with unprecedented speed and aggression, overwhelming all in its path. They bypassed strong points, sowed chaos, and aimed for the enemy's nerve centers. The impact was devastating, leaving the opposition in disarray. Polish defenses, caught off guard by the sheer ferocity and tempo of the assault, crumbled under the onslaught, unable to mount an effective resistance. Within weeks, Poland was defeated, signaling the start of a new chapter in military history, one that would be marked by speed, surprise, and overwhelming force. The Blitzkrieg had arrived, and the world would never be the same. It was a harbinger of the mechanized warfare that would dominate the 20th century, forever altering the course of history. Blitzkrieg, more than just a military tactic, was a philosophy of warfare. It revolved around speed, surprise, and the concentrated application of overwhelming force. At its heart was the Panzer Division, a combined arms force of tanks, mechanized infantry, artillery, and engineers working in perfect coordination. The assault would begin with a concentrated air attack, the Luftwaffe softening up enemy defenses and sowing confusion. Then, the Panzers would strike, exploiting gaps created by the air assault and bypassing pockets of resistance. Following closely behind, motorized infantry would mop up and secure the breakthroughs. Coordination was key. Radio communication between tanks, aircraft, and infantry allowed for real-time adjustments and ensured a fluidity of movement never before seen on the battlefield. This tight integration of different arms, all moving at high speed, created a momentum that was difficult to counter. The success of Blitzkrieg can be attributed to a combination of factors, each playing a crucial role in the overall effectiveness of this revolutionary military strategy. Technologically, Germany had a clear advantage. Their military technology was advanced for its time, providing them with tools that were both innovative and effective on the battlefield. Their tanks, while not individually superior to some Allied counterparts, were well-designed, reliable, and deployed in significant numbers. The Panzer divisions in particular were a testament to German engineering and tactical deployment. The Luftwaffe, with its dive bombers and close air support aircraft, provided a decisive edge in firepower and battlefield control. The coordination between ground and air units was unprecedented and allowed for rapid, concentrated attacks. However, Blitzkrieg's true genius lay in its psychological impact. The relentless pace and overwhelming force of the attacks created a sense of chaos and confusion among the defenders. The sheer speed and ferocity of the assault created a sense of shock and awe that often paralyzed defenders. This psychological warfare was as effective as the physical destruction wrought by the German forces. Allied forces, used to the static lines of World War I, struggled to adapt to the fluidity and tempo of mobile warfare. The traditional tactics of trench warfare were rendered obsolete by the dynamic and fast-moving Blitzkrieg strategy. Moreover, Blitzkrieg exploited a critical weakness in the Allied doctrine of the time, a rigid adherence to preset plans and a lack of flexibility in the face of the unexpected. The Allies were often caught off guard and unable to respond effectively to the rapidly changing battlefield conditions. German commanders, in contrast, were encouraged to show initiative and adapt to changing circumstances on the battlefield. This flexibility and autonomy allowed them to exploit opportunities and respond to threats in real time, making the Blitzkrieg strategy even more formidable. The combination of advanced technology, psychological warfare, and flexible command structures made Blitzkrieg a revolutionary approach to warfare. It changed the face of military strategy and left an indelible mark on the history of World War II. The effectiveness of Blitzkrieg was brutally demonstrated in the invasion of France in 1940. The French, confident behind the Maginot Line fortifications, never anticipated the German thrust through the Ardennes forest. Considered impassable for tanks, the German advance was stunning in its speed and audacity. Panzer divisions, spearheaded by Rommel's 7th Panzer Division, sliced through the Ardennes, crossed the Meuse River, and punched a hole in the Allied lines. The Allied response was slow and uncoordinated. Their forces, outmaneuvered and outgunned, were unable to stem the German tide. Within 6 weeks, France, considered the premier military power in Europe just a few years earlier, had fallen. The Blitzkrieg had triumphed again. The impact of Blitzkrieg on military thinking was profound and long-lasting. This revolutionary approach to warfare, characterized by its speed and surprise, fundamentally altered the way battles were fought. It wasn't just about overwhelming the enemy with sheer numbers. It was about outmaneuvering them, striking where they were weakest, and creating chaos within their ranks. It ushered in a new era of mobile warfare, where speed, flexibility, and combined arms operations became paramount. The traditional static lines of trench warfare were replaced by fluid, dynamic fronts that could shift rapidly. This required not only new tactics but also new technologies and training methods to ensure that all elements of the military could work together seamlessly. Armies around the world studied its principles, adapting their doctrines and equipment to counter or replicate its effectiveness. Military academies incorporated Blitzkrieg tactics into their curricula, and war games were designed to test these new strategies. The emphasis was on coordination and communication, ensuring that infantry, armor, and air support could operate in unison. The development of modern armored and mechanized units with their emphasis on speed, firepower, and combined arms integration can be traced back to the lessons of Blitzkrieg. These units are designed to be highly mobile and capable of delivering powerful, concentrated attacks. The integration of different military branches into a cohesive fighting force remains a cornerstone of modern military strategy. The concept of deep battle, aiming to disrupt the enemy's entire military system rather than just holding territory, also has its roots in the German experience of World War II. This strategy involves penetrating deep into enemy lines to target command centers, supply lines, and communication networks, thereby crippling the enemy's ability to respond effectively. Even today, Blitzkrieg's influence can be seen in the doctrines of modern militaries. The principles of rapid movement, surprise, and coordinated attacks are still relevant and are continually refined with advancements in technology and intelligence. Modern armies train extensively to perfect these techniques, ensuring they can respond swiftly and decisively in any conflict. The United States Air-Land Battle Doctrine, developed during the Cold War, drew heavily on the principles of rapid maneuver, air superiority, and deep strikes behind enemy lines. This doctrine emphasized the importance of integrating air and land forces to achieve strategic objectives quickly and efficiently. It was a direct descendant of the Blitzkrieg philosophy, adapted to the technological and geopolitical realities of the late 20th century. Section 6. The limits of lightning, countering the Blitz. However, Blitzkrieg was not invincible. It had its limitations, and the Allies over time developed effective countermeasures. One key weakness was its dependence on logistics. The rapid advance of Panzer divisions often outstripped their supply lines, leaving them vulnerable to counterattack if the offensive stalled. The vastness of the Eastern Front combined with the resilience of the Red Army also exposed the limitations of Blitzkrieg. The initial German successes in Operation Barbarossa were eventually blunted by logistical challenges, fierce resistance, and the Red Army's growing mastery of mobile warfare. Allied air power, initially outmatched by the Luftwaffe, eventually became a decisive factor. The strategic bombing campaign against German industry and infrastructure hampered their war effort, while Allied tactical air power increasingly contested German control of the skies. Section 7. Beyond the battlefield. Blitzkrieg's psychological impact. Beyond its military significance, Blitzkrieg had a profound psychological impact. The speed and brutality of the German advance instilled fear and demoralized opponents. The image of seemingly invincible Panzer divisions crashing through defenses contributed to a sense of inevitability about German victory in the early years of the war. This psychological impact extended beyond the battlefield. The rapid collapse of France sent shockwaves through Europe, shattering the illusion of security and leading to a widespread sense of vulnerability. The term Blitzkrieg entered the popular lexicon, becoming synonymous with swift and decisive victory. Section 8. Learning from lightning, the legacy of Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg remains one of the most studied and debated military doctrines in history. Its legacy is complex and multifaceted, marked by both innovation and brutality. While its successes were undeniable, its limitations were eventually exposed. The lessons of Blitzkrieg continue to shape military thinking today. The importance of combined arms operations, the need for speed and flexibility on the battlefield, and the psychological impact of rapid, decisive action remain as relevant as ever. However, Blitzkrieg also serves as a cautionary tale. It highlights the dangers of overconfidence, the importance of adaptability, and the need to anticipate and counter new forms of warfare. Section 9. Conclusion, a revolution in warfare. Blitzkrieg, the Lightning War, was more than just a military tactic. It was a revolution in warfare, a perfect storm of technology, doctrine, and psychological impact that shattered the paradigms of the time. Its influence on military thinking and its place in the history of World War II are undeniable. While the storm of Blitzkrieg eventually subsided, its echoes can still be felt today. The lessons learned, both in its successes and its failures, continue to shape military doctrines and remind us of the ever-evolving nature of warfare.